Jenny and Ben were about to get married. They wanted to book a hotel for their wedding ceremony in the party. So they went to a wedding planner to look at some options. She told them only 3 hotels were available for the day they wanted and showed them the pictures. Which one should they choose? Take a closer look at the 3rd floor windows of the first hotel. In the last window on the right, there's a creepy shadow of a monster that appears and disappears. 5 stars or not, no one would like to get married in a haunted place unless they're an Addams Family member. In the 3rd hotel only has 2 stars. It probably doesn't have the facilities to host a wedding, so the best choice is the 2nd hotel. Great choice, the wedding planner said, and you're in luck because they actually have a great discount offer. If you can answer this riddle correctly, you won't have to pay for the ballroom rental. Here it is. Those who have it, do not say it. Those who take it, do not know it. Those who know it, do not want it. What is it? Do you know the answer? It's fake money. The next day, Ben and Jenny went to the hotel to pick the best ballroom for their party. The hotel manager took them to 3 different rooms where they could host everything, from the ceremony itself to the dinner and after party. Which one should they pick? Do you see a little mouse hole in the corner of the first ballroom? The couple wouldn't want such uninvited guests at their party. As for the 2nd ballroom, the chandelier looks like it might fall down any minute. Not the safest option, so they should pick the 3rd ballroom. It was time for Ben and Jenny to pick the wedding menu. Since they were not paying for the venue, they wanted to spare no expense in serving food that the guests would never forget. That's why they called 3 different Michelin star chefs. Each of them prepared a different dish and presented them for a tasting. Which chef, and therefore which dish, should they go for? Even though the dish the 2nd chef made looks perfectly fine, do you see a rat's tail hanging from his chef's hat? There must be some ratatouille situation going on there. So that's a pass. The 3rd dish looks like spaghetti, right? Well, look again. Those are actually very thin snakes. Exotic flavors might not be the best option, so they better go with the classical burger that the first chef made. Before they made their wedding vows, Jenny had to say yes to a dress. So, she went to a couture store to check their wedding gown collection. She explained to the designer the style of the dress she wanted for her ceremony. The designer said he had just the perfect gown for her and would bring it to her if she answered his riddle correctly. He asked, if a gown takes an hour to dry, how many hours will it take 6 dresses to dry? It'll still take 1 hour because they'll all dry at the same time. Ben had one last item to buy on his wedding shopping list, and it was, what fastens 2 people, yet touches only one? Can you figure out what it is? It's a wedding ring, of course! Ben headed to a jewelry store to get something blue for his bride. The store owner showed him 3 different wedding rings with blue gemstones. Which one should he buy? The 2nd ring has an engraving inside, so it must have belonged to someone else before. The gemstone on the 3rd ring has a tiny crack in it. That can only mean it's made of glass or even plastic. So, Ben should buy the 1st ring with a sapphire. Next, Ben and Jenny were going to send out invitations. One print shop offered them 3 different versions of invitations. Which one should they choose? Do you remember the name of the hotel they booked? It was Sunrise Lodge, but the first invitation says Sunset Lodge. So this one won't do. And on the third invitation, their names are printed as Benny and Jen. That's not our couple, so they should choose the second invitation. Before the wedding, 3 of their friends paid them a visit. One of them brought a painting as a wedding gift, but all 3 claimed that they were the artist who had created it. 2 of them must be lying. Can you figure out who the actual artist is? Take a look at the signature on the painting. It says Denise. Now look at the third friend's necklace. It has the letter D, so she must be Denise, the artist who painted the painting. It was finally the day of the wedding, and Ben and Jenny's guests started to arrive. However, the hotel security spotted 3 suspicious-looking people who could be uninvited. Take a look at these 3 guys. Can you tell which one is not supposed to be at the wedding? Do you see the hotel wristbands that say Ben and Jenny, that the second and the third guys are wearing? That can only mean they are actually invited. So it's the first guy who's crushing the wedding. Sorry, dude, no free drinks for you. After the vows were exchanged, it was time to party. As Ben and Jenny were dancing, someone spilled their drink on Jenny's dress, but no one saw who it was. Jenny spotted 3 people who could have done it. Take a look at them. Can you tell who ruined her dress? The first guy has spots on his shirt that resemble stains from the spilled drink, but they are actually part of the pattern, so it can't be him. The third lady looks clean, but the hem of the second lady's skirt looks dirty, so it must be her who did it. After the ceremony ended, Ben and Jenny wanted to take a photo to capture the moment forever. But take a look at it. There's something strange about it. Can you spot what it is? Can you see a woman hiding behind the trees watching them? She is wearing a witch hat, but it's a wedding ceremony and not a costume party. Creepy. Right before leaving, Jenny suddenly vanished. Then the witch suddenly appeared in front of Ben and said, "You may only kiss the bride if you figure out with whom you really tied the knot." Ha ha! Then 2 Jennys appeared in front of Ben. Can you tell which one is his real wife? Remember the wedding photo? The Jenny on the left is the real one because her tattoo is on the same side as in the photo. Now that Ben and Jenny's wedding was over, phew, it was time for them to pick a honeymoon destination. They went to a travel agency to book a tour. The travel agent offered them 3 different holiday destinations: Ibiza, Cannes, and the Caribbean. Which one should they go to? Have you noticed the weather forecast on TV in the office? It states that the weather in Ibiza is going to be windy in the upcoming days, and in Cannes, it's going to be rainy. So they should pick the Caribbean and enjoy the sun. The travel agent said she could upgrade their plane tickets to business class for free. It would be her wedding gift to them. But they had to crack this riddle. What can travel around the world while staying in a corner? It's a stamp.
Look at these maids attentively. One of them is richer than the other. Can you figure out which? Even though the maid on the left is in a luxurious apartment, she just cleans it. But have a look at the maid on the right. She has an expensive watch on her wrist. She is definitely richer. Look at these students. Who's cheating? The guy in the front row, he's balancing an open book on his foot. Mrs. Lawrence went missing on Friday. Her husband informed the police and they started an investigation. The last person to see the woman was a shop assistant in a jewelry store. She confirmed that the woman wearing a red dress and red shoes had bought a necklace that day. On Saturday, Mrs. Lawrence called the police herself. She whispered, "I'm locked in some house. I managed to find a cell phone, but I may be discovered at any..." The call got suddenly interrupted. The police officer who had been talking to her managed to track the call, but she could only figure out the street. Look at the houses in the street and try to figure out where Mrs. Lawrence is kept. She must be in this house. Look, there's a tiny piece of red fabric on the fence over there, and Mrs. Lawrence was wearing a red dress. Ten witches met up for their annual coven. The head witch looked at the rest of the group and exclaimed,
"According to the laws of our community, we can't live among people or communicate with them. And still, one of you has broken this rule."
"Look at the witches and find out who it is." It's the witch in the purple hat. There's a smartphone in her pocket. Three friends, Kathy, Mark, and Lauren, gathered together to catch up on their latest news at Lauren's place. At one point, they decided to play hide and seek, but it was Lauren's turn to look for her friends. She easily found Mark, but even with his help, she couldn't locate Kathy.
Uh-oh.
Can you help Lauren find her friend? She took her task seriously. Look, she's hiding in a trash can. Ew. Discover the Sun was a very popular travel agency. It sold package tours to the hottest and most exotic destinations. But one day, the police found out that this company helped criminals flee the country. They also learned the exact date when it would happen the next time. On that day, several police officers arrived at the airport. They stopped a group of tourists who were flying to a Caribbean island. But the detectives didn't know the criminal's identity. That's why they had to search the baggage of all the passengers. Look at their bags and say who the criminal is. It's the young woman on the left. If she's going on a package tour to a hot place, why does she need a winter jacket? Megan invited her friends to a restaurant to celebrate her birthday. They had a lot of fun. Megan got the best birthday present ever. Her friends gave her a ring with a large diamond. But suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. After several minutes of total confusion, the lights came back on. But Megan's ring was gone. Look at the image attentively and try to figure out who stole it. It's the waiter. Look at the glass he's holding. He put the ring inside. Now there's much more water in it. Jacob's girlfriend, Nicole, loved riddles. One day, she was on a business trip to France. She called Jacob and told him it was her relative's birthday. "Could you go and congratulate my family member, please?" When the guy asked her which relative he had to visit, Nicole answered, "It's the daughter of the only son of my grandfather." Who is this mysterious relative Jacob is asked to congratulate? It's Nicole's sister. Ms. Lopez took her students to an art museum. Half an hour into the excursion, a worried museum worker came up to the professor. He told Ms. Lopez that one of the exhibits, an ancient vase, had been damaged. The culprit was most likely one of the students. Only 3 of them came close to the vase. Maria said, "After I looked at the vase, I noticed my makeup was smudged. So I went straight to the bathroom." Anthony replied,
I didn't touch the exhibit. After looking at it, I went to the next room to see dino skeletons.
And Nathan said he'd been following Miss Lopez, taking notes. One of these students is lying. But who? Anthony. There are no dinosaur bones in the art museum. Tyler made a bet with a friend that he could get out of any locked place. The next thing he knew, he was in a large room, locked in a cage. There were 3 levers in the wall next to the cage. If he pulled the first lever, he would let hungry lions into the cage. The second lever would fill the cage with water. And the third lever would activate a special mechanism. It'd make the top of the cage move down towards the bottom, crushing everyone and everything inside. Which lever should Tyler pull to survive? His only choice is the second lever. All the water will flow out through the bars of the cage. Matthew has only black and white socks, but he keeps them all mixed. One evening, the guy is in a hurry. He's getting ready for a date. Suddenly, the power goes out. Now it's completely dark in the room. The guy has 10 white and 10 black socks in the drawer. How many socks must he pull out of the drawer to get 2 matching ones? Just 3. In a set of 3 socks, he's bound to have 2 socks of the same color. Dennis, Maria, and Julie were at a party. They decided to play a game. There were 5 hats, 2 red ones and 3 yellow ones. The friends closed their eyes, took a random hat each, and put them on their heads. Then they opened their eyes and looked at one another. Each of them had to guess what color the hat on their head was. Dennis and Julie said they didn't know, but Maria exclaimed that she knew the color of her hat. What color was it? It was yellow. Maria saw that Dennis and Julie were wearing red hats, and she knew there were only 2 of those. You need to take 2 apples from your garden and bring them to your friend. But she lives on the other bank of the river. To get to her house, you have to cross a bridge. It can hold your weight and the weight of 1 apple. If you try to step on the bridge with 2 apples, it'll collapse. And the water in the river is swarming with piranhas. What can you do to bring your friend 2 apples if you can only make 1 trip? You should cross the bridge while juggling the apples. Ben woke up in a hospital. He only remembered his name and nothing else. A doctor came in to check on the guy. He said 3 young women were waiting to see Ben. The women came in. Strangely, each of them claimed to be the guy's sister, but only one of them is telling the truth. Who was it? The one girl in the middle. She has a birthmark on her hand, and Ben has the same. 2 roommates, Hannah and Megan, were walking home after doing their weekly grocery shopping. Hannah kept complaining about how heavy her bags were. Then Megan told her, "I don't understand why you're upset. If you gave me one of your bags, I would have twice more bags as you do. And if I gave you one of mine, we would have the same number of bags." How many bags were the girls carrying? Megan had 7 bags, while Hannah was only carrying 5 bags. You're at Aaron and Cleo's wedding. Here's Aaron, standing alone. Which of these ladies is his wife-to-be? It's this one. Look, there's her name, Cleo, on her bracelet. 3 girls are fighting over a doll. It belongs to one of them, but each of the 3 says it's hers. Who do you think the real owner of the doll is? It must be this girl. Look, she and the doll have matching outfits. It's Halloween, and some people got dressed as ghosts, but there's one real ghost among them. Who do you think it is? Look, this person doesn't cast a shadow. 3 friends went camping. 2 of them are real people, and 1 is a robot. Take a closer look at the photo of them and tell me who you think the robot is. It must be this guy. Take a look at the footprints each of them left. This guy's footprints are actually wheel prints, which is not very common for a real human. Amanda and her mom are participating in a game show. It's the final round, and Amanda's task is to figure out which of these 2 women is her mom. Both women are wearing masks, so Amanda cannot see their faces. Can you help her? Pay attention to the woman's hair color. Amanda is redheaded. This woman has red hair too, so I'd bet it's her mom. In any case, Amanda must know what color her mom's hair is, so she's safe here. Local police got information that their little town had been invaded. Officers started walking around asking for people's ID cards. I'll show them to you one by one, and you must decide who looks suspicious. For example, this one. What's your verdict? Look at this guy's birth year. No, it's definitely not a real ID. Here's another one. What can you say about this lady? Look at her place of residence. It's just the name of some place. There's no mention of a state or country. Nope, this person is suspicious too. The next person is this young lady, and here's her ID card. Do you see anything suspicious? She seems fine to me. I'd let her go. Another one. What about this person? This time, pay attention to this photo. All document photos should have a white background. This one isn't an officially issued ID card, so I'd say he's suspicious. I have the last suspect for you. What do you say? Is there anything we should be concerned about? No, he's okay. Let him go. A rich lady, Mrs. Reed, was looking for a person to clean her house every week. She invited 3 candidates and asked them why they wanted the job. Amelia said she wanted to earn some money during the summer to travel to another state with her friends. Colton said his mother forced him to do something in the summer so that he didn't play video games all day long. Danica said she was totally broke and needed money to survive. When they left, Mrs. Reed saw that her diamond necklace was missing. She guessed that one of the candidates had stolen it, so she invited them again. Take a look at them and figure out who the thief is. It's Danica. She said she was broke. The last time she was there, she was wearing old clothes. But look at her now. She has new clothes, gold earrings, and an iPhone. She must have stolen the necklace and sold it. On a snowy winter day, police got a call that one of the houses in the neighborhood had been robbed. A detective visited people living there, but everyone said that they'd been staying at home because of the weather. Still, the detective understood who was lying. This person became the main suspect. Who is it? It must be the person living in this house. He said he'd been staying at home, but he obviously parked his car after the snow had already built up on the driveway. So, the car was away for a while. Why would he lie? Another day, another crime. Mr. Spencer, a businessman, was robbed. He said he'd had a heavy safe full of cash in his bedroom. Now it was gone, and he was worried that he didn't have any proof that he'd ever possessed it. Still, a detective said that he believed the man and asked for details. How did the detective know the businessman wasn't a liar? Look, there's dents on the floor. Something really heavy was indeed standing there for a long time. There was another robbery in a small town, and the main suspect was Damon, the victim's old friend turned enemy and ex-business partner. The next day, on August 7th, the police paid Damon a visit. He wasn't at home. When they reached him by phone, Damon said he was on vacation in Greece and that he left a week before. The police examined his apartment. When the detective looked around, he realized Damon had left recently. How did he understand it? Look at the calendar on the wall. It says August 6th, which is the day of the crime. If Damon had really left the week before, his calendar would date back to the day when he departed instead of yesterday. In a small town, someone had stolen all the chicken nuggets from a local store. The store owner called the police and they started the investigation. There were 3 suspects. Mr. Jones said that he'd already been at work at that time. Mr. Collins said that his family was vegan, so he wouldn't be interested in chicken nuggets. Mr. Martin said the police had just woken him up. Who's a liar? The thief is Mr. Collins. He said his family was vegan, but look, they keep chickens. That's suspicious. Someone stole a bike in a small town, and the police were working hard to find it. There were 3 main suspects, all of them teenagers. Ava said that she'd been out with her friends and had just returned home. Brian said that his mom had made him paint a fence, and that's what he'd been doing. Caleb said he'd been playing with his brother in the garden. Who lied? Brian, look, the fence is red, but the grass next to it doesn't have any stains, so the fence isn't likely to be freshly painted. Aiko and Della were sisters. Aiko was broke. She asked Della to lend her some money, but Della refused. Several minutes later, Della went downstairs, and Aiko noticed there was a $20 bill on Della's desk, so she took it, with an intention to return it 1 week later. When Della came back and asked where the bill was, Aiko said that a gust of wind had suddenly blown inside and the bill had flown out the window. Della didn't believe her and asked her to give the money back. How did Della realize it was a lie? If a gust of wind had blown into the room, nothing would have flown out of the window. It would have been swept from the table to the floor, but not the other way around. Betty has a sister, Amy. Gail is Betty's mother. Meanwhile, Dan is Gail's father and Samantha is Dan's mother. Can you figure out how Amy is related to Dan? Here's why. Amy is Betty's sister, and Betty is the daughter of Gail. Therefore, Amy is another daughter of Gail. We also know that Dan is Gail's father. Therefore, Dan is Amy's grandfather. Betty is going on a date, and she's a little late. Her boyfriend, Stan, is already waiting for her inside their favorite coffee shop. Can you find him? It's this guy on the right. He has a small gift box on the table. After the date, Betty takes a car sharing to go home. The car is parked at this point. Can you figure out the only point Betty can reach? If Betty takes this weird route, she can only reach point 3. One of the most popular mailing websites is facing a system error. That's why the passwords of some clients are changed. Betty writes a message to the company's representative. My password is altered. I'm not able to log in. The company replies, this time your password is distinct and it has 8 letters, out of which 2 are the same as in your previous password. Betty replies, thanks, now I can log in. Can you figure out Betty's old and new passwords? Her new password is distinct, and the old one is altered. Betty arrives at her favorite swimming pool and spots something really weird. Can you see it too? Someone swapped these guys' shadows. After swimming training, Betty goes to the public shower. There are other people in shower cubicles nearby. Can you spot who's unwanted here? This person on the left should probably use the men's bathroom. He has only one shampoo bottle, while ladies usually bring a bunch of skincare products. Betty meets her best friend Rob. He always tells the truth. Rob says, I have one specific whole number on my mind. It's 1, 2, or 3. You can ask me just one question, but I can only reply yes or no, or I don't know. What question will you ask to figure out the number I'm thinking about? Can you help Betty? She should say, I have one whole number on my mind. It's between 2 and 3. Is the number I'm thinking of smaller or equal to your number? This way, if Rob replies no, then the number is 1. If he replies yes, the number is 3. And if he replies I don't know, the number is 2. Betty got a job as a cashier at a movie theater. A group of her first customers approached the ticket kiosk. 4 mothers, 2 grandmothers, and 4 daughters. What's the minimum number of tickets they need to buy? Only 6. Betty has 3 keys that open 3 different doors. How many attempts does she need to figure out the key for each door? Betty will need 6 attempts. First, she has to check the first key and spend 3 attempts for 3 doors. Then, check the second key, 2 attempts for the remaining 2 doors. And then, use the third key to open the last door. Betty enters the cafeteria and spots a thief right away. Can you see this person too? This elegant lady in the chair has a plastic detector attached to the stolen clothes. Someone robbed the movie theater. Betty calls the police and they arrest 3 suspects. Officers check the guys' passports. Can you spot a fake ID? Most passport pictures have a white background, so the one in the middle is fake. Late at night, Betty is walking home in a snowstorm. She meets her neighbor walking a dog in the street and freaks out. Can you guess why? the dog leaves footprints from only 2 paws. Betty continues her walk and sees another odd thing. Can you spot it too? It should be the moon, not Saturn. Betty enters her apartment building and meets 3 neighbors in the elevator. One of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? This lady on the left. She's wearing a moon necklace. Betty goes to sleep and wakes up in an arena. The speakers announce that she must fight with one of these 3 hybrid creatures. Which one should she choose to stay alive? A polar bear with a head of a tiger, an elephant with a wolf head, or a hybrid with a face and body of a huge squid and the legs of a human? Betty should choose the 3rd hybrid. Since its body has gills, it won't be able to breathe and fight outside water. After the fight, Betty gets an invitation to meet the major investor of this competition, King Harold. She enters a big, beautiful hall and sees 6 people sitting in front of her. They're wearing the same outfit and look very similar. It's very hard to tell who's the real king here. But after a couple of minutes, Betty approaches one of them, bows, and says, "Nice to meet you, Your Majesty." How did she know who's the real king? All the other guys were looking at the king very attentively to imitate his manners and actions. Meanwhile, the real King Harold was sitting calmly. Betty returns home and faces bad news. Her cat Fluffy is missing. Betty questions her neighbors. Lily says, "Sorry, I didn't see any cats. I'm working from home. I spent all day working on my new book." Vanessa said, "I haven't seen Fluffy today, and it's cool because I have a terrible allergy to cats." And Bob said, "I think I heard a cat meowing on the balcony a couple of hours ago." Can you guess who stole the cat? Nobody. Fluffy's been hiding under Betty's couch all this time. Betty's boyfriend Stan lives just a couple of blocks away from her place. Betty calls him on FaceTime and invites him over. But Stan says, "Sorry, honey, I've just got home feeling very sick. I'd rather go to bed early." Betty yelled, "Liar!" and hung up. Why? Take a look at Betty's window. It's pretty dark. Stan lives only 2 blocks away, but there's a bright blue sky in his background, which means he's definitely not at home. Betty makes a beautiful sandcastle and then lies down. She falls asleep. In a while, Betty wakes up and sees that someone has ruined her castle. She asks 3 persons hanging out nearby, "Who did it?" Kelly replies, "I like your castle and took a couple of pictures for my social. Then I left to get some ice cream. When I came back, I saw the castle was completely ruined." Olivia said, "I'm sorry, I was swimming far from the shore. When I returned to the shore, I didn't notice any castles." And Tom said, "Sorry, lady, I don't see anything because I'm blind. The wind must have destroyed your castle. You shouldn't have to make it 5 stories high." Can you spot a liar? Tom is lying. He said he was blind. How did he learn the castle architecture in detail? Betty is using an app to find accommodation for her vacation. She likes 3 offers. Rose invites her to stay in a cozy bedroom on the 4th floor of her luxurious villa for the price of $50 per night. Jane is ready to host 1 person in a tiny guest house in her backyard for $30. And Tyler offers to rent his boat for $200 per night. Fishing equipment is included. Only one of these advertisements isn't fake. Can you guess which one? This villa is 3 stories, and Tyler's picture is hanging on the pier. He's a runaway thief. So, Jane's guest house is the safest option for Betty. Alan is a famous scientist. He invented a special potion that awakens superpowers in humans. One night, he was having a secret Zoom conference with his colleagues. Alan's assistant, Betty, entered the office and brought him some coffee. In a while, Alan said goodbye to his colleagues and fired Betty. Why? She poured poison into his mug. Alan saw her reactions because the front camera on his laptop was working. Later that day, Alan went to the basement where he kept his secret invention. Unfortunately, someone broke into his safe and stole the potion. Alan interrogated 3 of his co-workers in the building. Will said, "Sorry bro, I've spent the last 24 hours watching rats for my research." Peter said, "I didn't even know they had a basement. You're full of surprises, man." And Diana said, "I think we heard weird noises from your office 2 hours ago." Who stole the potion? Peter. Take a look at his legs. He's levitating. When Peter was exposed, he took off into the sky and escaped. Alan headed to the parking lot, but someone had stolen his car. He called the police and found it across the street. The thief hit a tree and escaped. The police interviewed 3 suspects. Lily said, "I'm a courier. I came here to deliver food for the lab workers." Nina said, "I'm from a cleaning company. I'm here to clean, not steal cars." Bob said, "I parked my car to get some coffee. I didn't see any crimes." Can you guess who stole the car? Nina. Look at her watch. It's broken. And the black glass fragments are still in the car. Alan came home. Someone broke into his house and stole a laptop with secret information. Alan interrogated 3 of his neighbors. Rosie said, "You might think I'm crazy, but I saw a flying man outside your house." Nick said, "I spent all day in the garden picking apples. I didn't see anything suspicious." And Zoe said, "I was at a shopping mall with a friend and just arrived." Who lied? Zoe said that she had been shopping but didn't carry any bags. Suspicious, but possible. Meanwhile, Nick said that he'd been picking apples, but all the apples in the garden are still on the trees. So the liar is Nick. Alan went to the airport to take a flight to Argentina. He wanted to consult with his colleagues about Peter, but there were a lot of people who wanted to fly away too. Online booking stopped working, so there was a long queue. Alan is the 20th from the bottom in a line of 100 passengers. What's his position at the top of the queue? The position of passengers standing higher in the queue is 100 minus 20 equals 80. Therefore, Alan's position from the top is 80 plus 1 equals 81. After purchasing a ticket, Alan headed to the public toilet. A woman stopped him at the entrance and said, "Sir, can you please tell my husband to hurry up? His boss is calling him and it's urgent." Alan agreed, went into the toilet and looked at the stalls. He found the woman's husband right away just by looking at his feet. What about you? The guy on the left is her husband. They have similar tattoos. Finally, Alan got on a plane and flew from New York to Argentina. It took him 10.5 hours to reach the final destination. After spending 3 days in Argentina, Alan flew back home. However, it took 630 minutes this time, even though the plane flew at the same speed. Can you guess why? Ten and a half hours are the same as 630 minutes. After getting home, Alan noticed Peter running away through the backyard. Alan followed him, but Peter was too fast. Suddenly, Alan saw his motorbike in the parking lot. He questioned 4 people standing nearby. "Hey guys, whose motorbike is this? I need to borrow it." But all 4 people replied, "It's mine." Alan took a closer look at the vehicle and quickly figured out the owner. What about you? The third guy is the owner. He's the only person who's not wearing or holding a helmet. His helmet is attached to the bike. Alan hit the road. He wanted to get to his lab to make an antidote for Peter as soon as possible. There are 4 possible ways to get there. Can you guess which way is the shortest? The 4th one. The trick to solving this maze quickly is to start drawing from the end. Someone filled Alan's lab with sleeping gas. He passed out and woke up in a creepy basement. Alan found 4 doors leading outside. He has only one chance to escape. He won't be able to use the doors again. Behind the first door, there's a water-filled room swarming with sharks. The second door leads to the room filled with a spider's web. The third door hides a space where scorpions are falling from the ceiling. And the 4th door is hiding hungry lions. Which door is more or less safe to enter? Alan should choose the second door. Although crawling through spiderwebs might be gross, he'll be okay. Alan arrived at Peter's house. Peter lives with 2 roommates, his friend Sam and his brother George. Can you guess which one of these bedrooms belongs to Peter? George is the only one who's holding a laptop in his hands. Therefore, his bedroom is the first room that doesn't have a laptop. See this pillow with red hair in the 3rd room? It looks just like Sam's hair color, so it's probably his bedroom. Therefore, Peter lives in the 2nd room. Peter apologized to Alan for stealing his invention and asked him not to call the police. Alan offered Peter to play a game. He gave Peter 100 pills, 50 red and 50 blue, and 2 empty boxes. Alan said, "I will leave the room for a while, and I'll need you to place all the pills in 2 boxes. When I come back, I'll draw a pill from any of the 2 boxes, and if the pill's blue, I'll forgive you. Keep in mind that no box can be empty, and you gotta place all 100 pills in one of the 2 boxes. Good luck." How can Peter raise his chances of winning? He should put 1 blue pill in one box and the other 99 pills in the second box. This way, the chances are 50-50. The next day, Alan decided to explore an abandoned hospital. 1 week ago, the locals reported some strange sounds coming from this house, and some people saw a ghost wearing a wedding dress. As soon as he entered the building, he heard screams from the attic. Alan walked upstairs and found a wedding dress in a closet nearby. The music speaker replayed creepy sounds over and over again. Alan found 3 neighbors and asked them one similar question. "What did you do 1 week ago?" Chuck said, "I was on a business trip in London for a month. I came back today." Sarah said, "This dress is not mine. I got married in a red one. It suits me much more." And Wendy said, "I'm a doctor. I had many duties in the hospital that day." Who's lying? Sarah. Alan didn't mention the dress, but she started making excuses anyway. Peter was fond of collecting rare coins. When he was 20 years old, he bought a special box to collect his coins. On his every birthday, he put 250 coins in the box. Meanwhile, his sister, who was also fond of collecting coins, took out 50 coins from Peter's box on her birthday. Peter was very surprised at his 60th anniversary when he opened his box. There were only 500 coins inside. How can this be possible? Peter was born on February 29th. Thus, he put 250 coins every 4 years. In 40 years, he put the coins in only 10 times, making a total of 2,500 coins. His sister was born on any other day, and she took out 50 coins from the box 40 times, which means she took out 2,000 items. Therefore, after 40 years, Peter's box only had 500 coins.
Okay, get ready. Today I'll show you different riddles, and you'll have to decide which girl is behaving least wisely, which is a nicer way of saying she's a dunderhead. You'll have 7 seconds to decide. The riddles may award 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. So grab a piece of paper and give yourself the points each time you get it right. We'll start with the easiest questions that earn 1 point each. Autumn and Hope are going for a walk with their friends. It's 60 degrees outside. Who is dressed in the worst way? Hope. Autumn can take some of her clothes off, but Hope doesn't have anything to wear in case she feels cold. Ava and Olivia are camping in a forest. Suddenly, they encounter a bear on their trail. Ava stands still, and Olivia starts to run away. Who is in danger? Olivia. The bear might see her as prey and follow, and he's definitely faster. So it's better to keep your cool and slowly move backwards, keeping the eye contact. Haley and Savannah are making sandwiches for lunch. Who did something terribly wrong? Haley. She put rat poison in the sandwich instead of jelly. Delaney is on the road trip and stopped to make a couple of pictures. Lenore is riding a bike to a nearby city. Who isn't being smart? Delaney. She parked her car right under the sign that says "Parking isn't allowed." Jane and Charlotte are learning how to swim. Jane went to the lake with her little siblings, and Charlotte went to the ocean with her friends. They both jumped in the water alone. Who is in greater danger? Jane. In case she struggles, her little siblings won't be able to pull her out. McKenna and Desiree are late for school, so they're taking a shortcut. McKenna takes the way through the woods, and Desiree decides to go across a frozen lake. Who's in danger? Desiree. There are cracks on the lake's surface. Ruby and Mary were enjoying their time outside when a storm started. Ruby hid in her car in the open space, and Mary kept swimming in the ocean. Who is not safe? Mary should get out immediately. It's dangerous to touch water during a thunderstorm. It's okay to hide in a hardtop vehicle as Ruby did. Okay, easy questions are over. Next questions will give you 2 points each. Paige and Riley are going on a date, but they tell their parents they're practicing instead. Paige plays tennis and Riley plays soccer. Who's the worst conspirator? Riley. She's dressed inappropriately for a soccer game. Unlike Paige, she doesn't have any change of clothes or equipment with her. Quinn and Sandra are working in a garden. Quinn was told to water the flowers, and Sandra should mow the lawn. Who's doing something wrong? Quinn. She was told to water the flowers, but she's watering the trees. Everly and Jasmine drove to a mall. Everly left her belongings in the car, and Jasmine locked her dog there while she's shopping. Who's being more stupid? Jasmine, you shouldn't leave animals or people in a closed car, especially in the hot sun. It's the wrong way to get a hot dog. Mia and Stella wanted to get a tattoo and skip their classes to get home right after school. When they get home, they immediately run into their parents. Who's going to get in trouble? Stella. Her tattoo is right on her wrist, and there's no way her parents won't notice it immediately. Hannah's best friend is teaching her ice skating, and Lily is learning to ride a bike with her older brother. After several minutes, they feel like they've got it and ride away from their supervisors very fast. Who's least careful? Lily. Hannah has the railing by her side that she can grab in case she falls. Lily will crash to the ground. Kylie and Abby are bloggers getting ready for a party. Who is missing something? Kylie. She's charging her cell phone, but the cord is unplugged. Melanie and Delilah are walking home from work late in the night. Which of the two isn't being careful? Melanie. Although she's walking in a less creepy place, there are no people around. If something happens, no one will be around to help her. Sophia and Brooke went camping in the forest. Suddenly, they notice a moose moving towards them. Who is in greater danger? Sophia, who is wearing heels and will run slower. Brooke can drop her huge backpack and use it as an obstacle. Kira and Ava want to go to a party, but their parents banned them from leaving the house. Kira decided to sneak out using the attic window, while Ava used the back door. Who won't make it to the party tonight? Ava. Kira is quite risky, but Ava's dad is reading a newspaper in the backyard. Maya and Chloe went for a walk. Maya went to a forest and stopped to take selfies with a friendly squirrel she met. Chloe went hiking and decided to take a selfie on the cliff. Who is in danger? Maya. The branch above her is about to fall. Maeve and Sarah are cheating on their math test. Who is more likely to be caught? Sarah. Although she's sitting in the back, the teacher's looking right at her. Bella and Ashley came home from a party which they told their parents would be a study date. Who's going to be grounded till the end of the month? Bella. She'll have a hard time coming up with a logical explanation for the confetti in her hair. Elizabeth and Kate are late for work, so they're driving above the speed limit. Which of them is in greater danger? Kate. She has many objects lying scattered in her car. In case of an accident, they may hit her. Ariana and Serena have to do their house chores before they'll be allowed to go to the birthday party. Who is going to be late? Ariana. The iron isn't plugged in. Since she's distracted with the TV, it might take her a while to notice. And finally, here are the hardest questions that award 3 points each. Jessica and Margot are jaywalking. Jessica is listening to music and Margot is texting her friend. Who is in greater danger? Jessica. Although they're both behaving poorly, Margot is on a straight road where she can be noticed. Jessica is jaywalking before the road takes a turn. Someone might not have enough time to react and stop. Julia and Naya are taking a vacation to the jungles. Juliet got tangled up in lianas, and Naya got stuck in quicksand. Who's in danger? Juliet. She can't get out, and there's a jaguar approaching her. Naya is relatively fine because it's actually difficult to sink in quicksand. Leah and her friend Caleb went camping. Caleb was bitten by a snake, and Leah is sucking the venom out of his leg. Amelia is on the trip as well, and there's a black widow on her neck. Who is in danger? Leah. It's dangerous to suck out the venom. As for Amelia, black widows rarely bite, and the bites are rarely fatal. Becky and Allison are both in a bathtub doing their morning routine. Becky is using the hairdryer. Allison is charging her phone while scrolling through the internet. Who is less clever? Allison. It's dangerous enough to have a socket close to the water, but Allison is charging her phone. Becky is sitting in the empty bathtub. She might be a little weird, but at least she's safe. Evelyn and Grace are on vacation. Evelyn is spending it in a desert, and Grace is in the wilderness. By the end of the day, they get tired and decide to spend the night where they are. Who's making a huge mistake? Evelyn. Night temperature in the desert can fall to 25 degrees Fahrenheit and she'll be freezing. Grace's fire will scare away wild animals. Emma and Avery are planning to go to the movies with their friends tonight. Meanwhile, they're enjoying a hot summer day. Who's not going to make it to the movies? Avery. She's about to cook the meat that has been standing in the sun for a while. In the evening, she'll get food poisoning. Scarlett and Emily are sitting on a beach in a city center. Scarlett is applying makeup, and Emily is texting her friends. Who is more likely to be robbed? Emily. Although they're both distracted, at least Scarlett has a mirror in her hands and can see if someone is approaching her. Ella and Madison are driving to their friend's birthday party. Ella is chatting on the phone with her boyfriend, while Madison is applying lipstick. Who is in greater danger? Madison. Although they both shouldn't be distracted while driving, Madison isn't wearing a seatbelt. Now, sum up your points. If you got less than 25 points, you scored below average. But don't be sad. Check out some of our other riddles to train. If you've got between 26 and 40 points, you have an average score, and you're on the right track. If you scored between 41 and 55, you're above average. And if you scored 56 or more, you must be a second Einstein. Relatively speaking. Okay, time for more riddles, the Parents Edition. There are 3 categories of questions. Easy, which award 1 point each, average for 2 points, and hard for 3 points. We're going to start with the easy ones. Remember, every correct answer gives you 1 point. Jason and Steven are home alone with their kids. Jason is talking to his mother, and Steven is watching a baseball game on the TV. Who's being negligent? Jason. Although both babies might fall out the window and both dads should watch out, Jason's baby is on the higher floor. Whoops. Mila and Gregor cook dinner for their kids. Which one of them is, the most confused? Milla. She accidentally mixed up the plates. She gave the dog her daughter's food and is about to feed her daughter dog food. Yum. Sabrina and her son went to the mountains to spend the day sliding. Adam is barbecuing in the backyard while watching his daughter. Who's not watching their child properly? Sabrina. Her son is sliding right into a big hole in the ice. Rebecca and Natalie took their kids to the lake. The boys are about to jump from the cliff. Whose child is in danger? Natalie's. There's rocks under the cliff her son is about to jump from. Megan and Rachel were cleaning their kids' rooms. Rachel noticed her son's phone and decided to check it, and Rachel found her daughter's diary. Who's in trouble? Rachel. It's bad to read a child's personal things, but she's also going to be busted because her daughter is about to walk into the room. Mary and her son are spending time on the beach. Chris and his children are watching a TV. Which parent is doing something wrong? Mary. It's dangerous for anyone to be in the water during thunderstorms. Now we're moving to harder questions. Every correct answer awards 2 points. Meredith is teaching her daughter to do her makeup. Beverly is teaching her teenager to style her hair. Which mom is doing something wrong? Beverly. The hair straightener isn't plugged in. Nicole and Diana are spending time with their kids. Nicole is reading to her son, and Diana is watching cartoons with her daughter. Who is not behaving wisely? Nicole. She forgot about the food that she's cooking in the oven, and it's burning. So it's going to be takeout tonight. Bradley and Ryan's sons are blamed for painting a face on a neighbor's fence. Both boys denied doing it, and both fathers believe their sons. Who's been misled? Ryan. His son still has green paint on his hands that he couldn't properly wash off. Jennifer went for a walk with her son, but she got distracted talking on the phone. Mark left his daughter in a closed car while he entered a store to buy garden tools. Who has made a bigger mistake? Mark. It's dangerous to leave people or animals in a closed car, especially in the heat, when the car warms up very fast and there's a lack of fresh air inside. Brian is teaching his teen son how to drive, and Nancy is cooking a dinner with her daughter. Who isn't being wise? Brian. Nancy's daughter seems to be old enough to cut an apple, especially under supervision, but Brian can't control all of his son's actions in the car. Martha and her son went to the jungle, and she stopped to take some selfies. Peter took his son camping, and he's setting up the tent while his son is trying to light a fire. Who's not being smart? Martha. Her baby is approaching a snake that can be venomous. Melissa and Stephanie are doing chores. Melissa is handling the laundry, and Stephanie is cleaning the kitchen. Who should be more careful? Stephanie. Her daughter put her cell phone in a dishwasher. Tiffany and Michael's sons came back home after a study evening at their friend's house. Neither parents are suspicious. However, someone's son wasn't studying tonight. Who overlooked a party guy? Tiffany. Her son has a lipstick stain on his collar. Jack and Vivian took their kids to school. Now Jack is walking to work and Vivian is driving to a store. Who forgot something? Jack. He's still wearing his daughter's pink school backpack. Looking good, Jack. Charles and Penelope cooked breakfast for their kids. Which parent probably didn't get much sleep the previous night? Penelope. She gave her daughter a raw potato and didn't even peel it. Sandra is doing gardening with her daughter. George is watching his child swimming in a pool. Who's being stupid? George. He fell asleep and left his son in the pool unsupervised. What's more, the boy took off his armbands and can drown. Uh-oh. Elizabeth and John's daughters came home. They said they were doing a group science project, and both parents believed their daughters. Who didn't detect a lie? John. His daughter is wearing a sweater on a hot day, so she could be hiding something. Jessica and Aaron cooked a dinner for their families. Jessica cooked Thai soup, and Aaron made mashed potatoes. Who is a bad cook? Jessica. Her daughter poured her soup in a flower pot. Travis didn't let his daughter go to her friend's birthday party and told her to do her homework all day. Christina's son had to spend the day in his bedroom too, instead of going to the movies. When the teenagers came down to dinner at 7 o'clock, which parent didn't notice they're being lied to? Travis. It's raining and his daughter has wet hair. It means she was outside and not sitting in her bedroom. And finally, the hardest questions for 3 points each. Dustin is cooking dinner with his daughter. Joseph is mowing the lawn while his child is playing nearby. Who isn't smart? Joseph. Lawnmowers are very dangerous machines and should never be used if there are kids around. Sean is teaching his little son how to chop wood. Camilla is listening to music and washing the dishes while her baby is sleeping upstairs. Who's making a mistake? Camilla. The music is too loud, and she won't hear if her son wakes up and cries. Brandon and Daniel are watching their kids playing in the backyard. Who's not being wise? Daniel. His son is playing in the sunshine without a hat on and might get sunstroke. Pamela is getting ready for the meeting with her son's teacher at 12 o'clock. William is driving his son to a birthday party. Who isn't very attentive? Pamela. She must have confused the time. The meeting was at 12 o'clock, but it's already 1:30. Thomas is reading a newspaper while watching his son. Molly is talking on the phone while dinner is cooking in the oven. Who should rethink their actions? Molly. She forgot to turn on the oven. Samantha and Bob are sending their kids on a school field trip. Which of the parents forgot to do something? Bob. Why is he holding his son's lunch? The kid is not eating today. Sum up your points to check your results. If you got 25 points or less, you scored below average. But don't worry, check some of our other riddles to train for the next time. If you got 26 to 45, you have an average result. Keep it up. If you got between 46 to 60 points, you have an above-average result and you definitely are a riddles master. And finally, if you have 61 or more, you're a real genius. Or you're on your second or third time watching this video. Come on, fess up. Guess the weight. Jake was buying veggies for his lunch recipe. He purchased a bag of carrots when a shady man approached him and told him, "Sir, I don't have any money with me, but I really need those carrots. Let's make a deal. If I write your carrots' exact weight on this paper, you'll have to give them to me. If I don't, I'll give you my watch." Jake agreed, thinking there was too small a chance for the stranger to guess the number correctly. The mysterious guy scribbled something on the paper and gave it to Jake. As soon as Jake read it, he handed him the bag of carrots. What did the man write on the paper? Your carrot's exact weight, just like he said he would. Will he win the game? Mark was visiting a new game store in his neighborhood. That day, staff members were giving away free games if the customers answered their questions correctly. Mark got in the queue and waited anxiously to see if he'd get the board game he wanted. When his turn arrived, the staff member said, "What has 6 faces but doesn't wear makeup, has 21 eyes but can't see?" Mark was relieved when he heard the riddle, and as soon as he answered, he got the game. What was his reply? A dice. The indivisible apples. Sam went apple picking with his sister, and on the way back, they met their 4 cousins. There were only 5 apples in the basket, and Sam had to divide them equally between his sister and their cousins. But 1 apple had to remain in the basket that he'd take home. How would he divide the apples? He'd give 4 apples to his 4 cousins, leaving 1 apple in the basket for his sister, and walk home with her. The new retail store. John's friend Susie opened a new retail store, and she came up with a new method to price her stock. A tie cost $15, a belt $20, a beret $25, and a blazer $30. Using this method, how much would a handbag cost? $35. She's charging $5 for each letter you need to spell a clothing item. The apple tree. Simon won the title for being the smartest person in his town. One day, he woke up in an evil scientist's basement. Oh, who would have thought? Who wanted to prove that Simon was cheating at each test. So he broadcasted the event live on social media to prove his point. He said, "All right, Simon, I'll ask you a simple math question. A farmer in California has an apple tree in his backyard and supplies the fruit from the tree to a local grocery store. On Sunday, the store owner called the farmer to see how much fruit he'll deliver on Monday. The farmer knows that the main trunk has 26 branches. Each branch has exactly 15 boughs, each bough 8 twigs, and each twig 1 fruit. How many oranges will the farmer deliver?" Simon immediately gave the correct reply. Can you? "None," said Simon. Apple trees don't bear oranges. Wow. When partying goes wrong. Mason, Jacob, Susie, and Edward were having a party at Edward's place. The next day, Edward was found unconscious, and none of the three friends knew what happened to him. When the police showed up, they found a note next to Edward's calendar. It read 3-4-9-10-11. Immediately, the detective knew who did it. What about you? It was Mason. The note was next to a calendar. Take the first letters, transform them into months, and you get Mason. 3 equals March, 4 equals April, 9 equals September, 10 equals October, 11 equals… which one is that? Where's Mary? Sarah and Jamie were spending the weekend at Mary's house. On Saturday, they went to bed late, and when they woke up the next day, Mary was gone. She left a note on her nightstand that read, "Come find me here, noon-DL." What does the note point to? A city, a famous mountain, a forest, or an island? A city. If you unscramble the letters, it reads London. The right door. Mike was driving for 7 hours on the freeway when his tire blew up. He called for help, and they said it will cost him $200 to fix it. He was angry because he was thirsty, hungry, and didn't have any money. In front of him, still sitting in the car, 3 doors appeared, each with signs above showing where they lead. The first is full of food: burgers, spaghetti, lobsters, and pizza. The second is topped with beverages, from energy drinks to sodas and iced teas. The third door has $1 million in cash. Which door should Mike open first? His car door. Who took the car? Mr. Ronald returned home from his 3-week vacation only to find his car missing. He left 3 of his employees at work to take care of the house, but none of them were there when he returned. To catch them off guard, Mr. Ronald video called each one. Sean said he was on the bus back home after a long night out. George said he was heading to school for his lecture, but he could pop by to help him find his car. Chris said he had just arrived at his hotel room in Italy and had no idea what happened with the vehicle. Right away, Mr. Ronald knew who was lying. It was Chris. The clock behind him showed the exact same time as the one on his phone. He wasn't in Italy. The correct path. Luke was hiking in the mountains for 2 days when he got lost. He came across 2 paths. One leads to a nearby town, and the other one will get him lost forever. There are 2 twin girls there who know which way leads to the town. Luke can only ask them one question, but there's a catch. One of the girls always lies, and the other always tells the truth. And Luke doesn't know which one will be truthful. 25 minutes later, Luke arrived at the nearby town. What did he ask the girls? If I ask your sister for the correct path, which one would she show me? They'll both point in the same direction, which means Luke took the path they didn't point at. Where's he hiding? Jim escaped from prison on Saturday. The police had been patrolling the town he was last seen in until they got a tip. A neighbor saw him entering one of these 3 houses, but he couldn't remember which one. The police took a closer look at the houses and arrested him. How did they find out the correct house? It's the last one on the right. The car is facing the road, a common technique people on the run use to get away without losing time. Where does she live? Mia left her mother's home because they had a big argument. Her mother wanted to know where her daughter was going. But when she got back home from work on Tuesday, Mia was still missing. Mia didn't have a phone, and her mom didn't know where she went. 2 hours later, she found out where she was staying. How? She dialed the last number on the phone and told the person on the other side that they'd won the lottery. She told them they needed their name and address to give them the prize. Which is the correct door? Shane is an archaeologist who snuck into some underground caves in Egypt. When the guards spotted him, they started chasing him. He ran fast and came across, guess what? 3 doors. Behind the first one were 4 aggressive crocodiles. Behind the second was an explosive device that would go off in 5 minutes. And behind the third was a dirty pond filled with bacteria and parasites. Which door should he pick? The second door. But because the guards were coming quickly, he should move the device to the room with the crocodiles and then run away to avoid being caught. The Lost Suitcase. Jenna and Neil got back from their holidays in Hawaii. Upon returning, they discovered that their suitcase never made it into the baggage claim area. It was either lost or taken by somebody. The briefcase had a lock on it. When airport security showed up, they questioned 3 people with some convincing alibis. The steward said he checked the plane and couldn't find any luggage. The captain said the suitcase was probably forgotten in Hawaii, but nobody would open it because it was locked. The airport security guard said he just called the airport in Hawaii, and nobody knew what happened. Immediately, the police arrested the captain. Why? He knew the suitcase was locked, but nobody told him that. The break-in. Susan's apartment was broken into the day before Halloween. When she went home from work and saw the mess, she called the police. The door didn't have any signs of a break-in, just an open window. The detectives questioned 3 of her neighbors. Mrs. Ruth was knitting a pair of gloves for her great-granddaughter. Michael said he was working a 14-hour shift the day before, and he was sleeping all day. Dennis said he had broken his leg and didn't leave his home for 3 weeks. The police immediately knew who was guilty. It was Michael. He was the only one able to climb into a window. Wait a minute, you don't think Granny could do that? You should see her doing burpees. A cluster of students was divided into 3 groups. Ava, Tio, and Max were the red team. Jane, Elsa, and Ever were the blue team. Chloe, Chase, and Belle were in the 3rd group. Following the logic, what was the color of their group? Green, orange, or yellow? Students' names in the red group consist of 3 letters, just like the word red. The word blue, just like the name of the color, consists of 4 letters. The names Chloe, Chase, and Belle consist of 5 letters. So should their color. Green is the only color that fits, so their team is green. Brooke, Scarlett, Ruby, and Quinn are sisters. Quinn stands right next to Charlotte. Brooke is between Ruby and Quinn. Ruby is on the very right. Can you identify the name of each girl? Let's start with the last hint. So, Ruby is on the right. Then, since Brooke is between Ruby and Quinn, the next one is Ruby. Then there's Quinn. The remaining girl on the left must be Scarlett. It fits the first hint too, because Quinn and Scarlett stand next to each other. So, it's Scarlett, Quinn, Brooke, and Ruby. Take a look at the 4 words: corset, sector, rocket, coster. Can you tell which one of them is an extra one? It's the word rocket. All the rest are anagrams of each other. If rocket had an S instead of a K, it would be an anagram too. Philip is a young inventor who constructed a robot that can do all the household chores and called him Joey. One day, when Philip came back from university, he found that his robot was stolen. He was looking for it everywhere until he found an old and dark dungeon. He went there hoping to find his robot and wasn't mistaken. However, 5 robots looked exactly like his, and Philip had only one try to pick the right robot. If he picked the wrong one, he'd be trapped in the dungeon forever. Can you help Philip find his robot? All the robots look exactly the same, but take a closer look. One of them has a badge saying Joey, and that's the name of Philip's robot. During the Christmas holidays, Mr. Jones reported that his dog was stolen. A local detective arrived to interrogate some neighbors. Mr. Thompson said he was out all day and just returned home, so he has nothing to do with the dog. Ms. Miller said she spent all day eating and binge-watching some movies. Mr. Raymond said that he was outside the house swimming all day and hasn't heard anything about the dog and hasn't even seen it. However, the detective figured out who stole the dog. Can you? It must be Mr. Raymond. He said he was swimming outside. But take a look outside. It's winter and it's snowing. It's Christmas break. No way, man. Esme had a walk in the forest and soon realized she got lost. She was wandering around until she found a witch's house. She walked in, pet the cat, and asked the witch if she could help her out. Today, the witch was busy solving a math riddle her grandson sent her by Raven Post. He couldn't solve it and asked his grandma to help. Unfortunately, the witch couldn't solve it either, so she said that she'd let Esme go if she solves the riddle. Here's an equation. 101 minus 102 equals 1. Move just one digit and make it correct. Luckily, Esme is a smart girl. She just moved the 2 up to make it 10 squared. Now it's 101 minus 10 squared, which is 100. 101 minus 100 equals 1. So, Esme got away happily. Wyatt woke up in some dungeon. He tried to escape, but the door was locked. Moreover, a clock appeared and started ticking, saying there will be an explosion in half a minute if he doesn't crack the code. It was just one number, but the trick was that Wyatt only had one chance for a guess. Luckily, there was a hint. Can you guess what the correct digit is? The second number in each row is the number of letters needed to spell the first one. So the word 1 has 3 letters. The word 2 has 3 as well. The word 3 has 5. The word 4 has 4 letters. So the digit Wyatt needs is 4. Blake was a writer applying for a job in a fashion magazine. However, the boss was a whimsical woman. Blake did the interview well, but still, the woman didn't want to hire her because Blake was too young. The boss poured some water into a glass and asked Blake to get her some apple juice to fail her. However, there were 2 conditions. She wanted the water in the glass, but didn't want it to mix with the juice. Still, Blake figured out how to do it and got the job. How? She just put the glass in the freezer and waited till the water got frozen. Then she poured the juice on top of it. In a small neighborhood, girls started to get kidnapped. The first day, it was Anna. The next day, Hannah disappeared. Then, the third day in a row, Elle went missing too. People in the neighborhood didn't want another girl to disappear. However, there was only one police officer, and he could only stay with one of them. There were 4 girls left: Ayla, Sienna, Ava, and Alice. Can you guess who the police officer should stay with to prevent the kidnapping? There should be a pattern, and there is. The names of all the missing girls, Anna, Hannah, and Elle, are palindromic. It means they're the same when you read them forward and backward. Only Ava has a palindromic name out of the remaining girls, so she must be the next target, and the officer should stay with her. On a rainy evening, Liberty came back from school to find out that her chocolate was stolen. She called her siblings and asked who ate her chocolate, but everyone denied it. Storm said he was working out in his room and he doesn't eat sweets. Andromeda said she would never eat someone else's chocolates. Thor said that he just walked home from his friend's house and didn't touch her chocolate either. However, Liberty didn't believe one of her siblings. Who stole her chocolate? It was Thor. It's raining outside and he doesn't have an umbrella. If he was out, he'd be wet from the rain just like Liberty, but he wasn't. It means that he lied, which means he probably lied about the chocolate too. Della was having a birthday party. She invited 3 people over and got 3 presents: a pair of heels, a bag of makeup, and golden earrings. However, Della didn't like one of the presents. Can you guess which one and why? She didn't like the golden earrings just because she couldn't wear them. Her ears aren't pierced. Well, maybe she will consider piercing them. 4 sisters, Jane, Flora, Maeve, and Annika, were each born in one of the months January, February, March, and April. Here's their talk. "It's a pity no one's name starts with the same letter as their birth month," said Annika. "Who cares?" said someone who was born in January. "I wish my birth month at least started with a vowel, but I'm not even that lucky," said Maeve. Which month was each girl born in? Let's draw a table. No girl's name starts with the same letter as the month, so we cross them out. The girl born in January replied, so Annika wasn't born in January. Neither was Maeve because she replied next. So Flora was born in January. Maeve wasn't born in April because her month doesn't start with a vowel, so April's girl is Jane. It leaves only March for Annika and, therefore, February for Maeve. Elsie is working as a maid at a rich woman's house. One day, the woman reported that her diamond necklace was stolen. She claimed that it must have been Elsie who stole it because that day no one else was in the house. However, Elsie denied taking it. Who should the officer believe? He should believe Elsie. She said she didn't take it, and she's telling the truth. Look, the necklace is hidden in the woman's hair. Mr. Bright cleaned his office, locked it, and went on a vacation to Malta. He spent 2 glorious weeks there, but he immediately realized that someone had broken into his office when he returned. He was the only one who had the key, but how did he realize someone had been in the office? He cleaned the desk, but take a look at the trash can. There's some trash there now, even though it was spotless before. Virginia, a young girl, was found poisoned in her room. Detective Callum came to her house for investigation. The girl was found in the armchair with a glass of some liquid by her side. It looked like she poisoned herself, but the detective didn't believe it. He said it was someone else who poisoned her, and it probably wasn't even in the glass. Why did he think so? Take a look at Virginia's desk. The mouse is on the left side, which means she's a lefty. However, the glass stands on the right side of her. Probably someone just put it there to make it look like she did. Jason is making pizza for his family, and Savannah went outside to make some grilled vegetables. Which one of them does something wrong? Jason. He forgot to turn on the oven. Susie is listening to music and vacuum cleaning the house. Elizabeth is working in the garden. Who is doing something wrong? Susie should take her headphones out and check out what she's doing. The vacuum cleaner isn't plugged in, so she's about to do it all over again. It's finally Christmas time, and two girls, Nicole and Rachel, are getting ready for their vacation in Mexico. Who is doing something wrong? Rachel. Take a look. She's packing sweaters and other warm clothes. However, it's not that cold in Mexico, even during Christmas, so she should definitely reconsider her vacation wardrobe.
Neil was one of the best watchmakers in town. He got a call from the police station one day, asking him for help to solve a crime. Two burglars were caught robbing shops in town. Amongst the things they stole, there were 2 watches. One of the burglars claimed that the watch they stole was a fake, so the police contacted Neil to see if that was really true. Take a look at both watches. Can you help Neil figure out which one is fake and which one is real? The watch on the left is a fake. If you look closely, you'll see that the miniature arm is too long, so it can't pass around the entire clock when it moves. Maya was an undercover police officer. On a Saturday night, she was off duty and decided to go to the movies. When she arrived, she saw 2 women who looked pretty suspicious. She remembered that the police were tracking down a girl who had escaped from prison the week before. Take a look at both women. Can you tell if one has escaped prison recently? It's the lady on the left. Her prison uniform is peeking through her coat. I mean, she should have at least changed clothes by now, right? Beth arrived at school and one of her best friends showed her a picture. She told Beth that if she got the answer correctly, she would get a week's supply of free chocolate. The friend said that one of the people in the picture wasn't human. Can you help Beth figure out the answer? It's the boy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow, which means he's definitely not human. Ruby was traveling around India when she decided to stop for some tea. As soon as she walked inside the tea shop, the owner placed 2 teapots in front of her. He told her she would get a free cup of tea if she could figure out his riddle. He told her that the first teapot contained enough tea for 40 cups and asked to figure out, just by looking at the pot, how many cups of tea it could carry inside. Take a look at the image. Can you help Ruby figure out the answer? This is a tricky one. Probably the second teapot can only carry around 20 cups of tea. If you look closely, you'll see that the outlets of the first teapot is located in the middle of the pot. But the outlet of the second pot is located right at the bottom, so even if the pot is taller, it can't hold more water than the first one. After water hits the level of the outlet, it'll just start overflowing. Mary was walking in an enchanted forest when she met Randy, a magical unicorn. Mary asked the unicorn for some information, but he refused to talk to her unless she solved one of his riddles. He was a trickster and liked confusing people with his riddles. He told Mary that in a nearby field there were tigers and sheep. Usually one tiger could catch 3 sheep in 3 minutes. So he asked her how long it would take for 100 tigers to catch 100 sheep. Can you help Mary figure out the answer? It would still take 3 minutes, because each tiger is still catching 1 sheep in 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's 3 tigers or 100. The unicorn was surprised by Mary's abilities and gave her another riddle to solve. He asked her to name the 5 days of the week without saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. She also couldn't say whether it was the first day of the week or the last. What do you think Mary answered here? She said the day before yesterday, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. Clever girl, huh? Brianna was traveling on business, and her company put her in one of the best hotels in town. She arrived from work late at night, exhausted. She was getting ready to go to bed when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. The man said he was sorry for bothering her, but the hotel database had crashed and he needed to recheck some of her information. Brianna said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. Take a look at the image. How did she know the man was a robber? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. Luca decided to throw a party for his best friends. He invited over 20 people to the party, but he only bought 9 candies. He told his friends he would leave the candies inside a pretty little box, and they could each get 1 candy. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night, right out of his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but the paint is dripping and one can spot the old red color. He must have stolen it and painted it in a different color so as not to attract any attention. But you caught him. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Smart, huh? Bobby was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the message, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the candy from the first envelope. 2. Take the candy from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bobby take? He should trust the candy from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. The manager of a gift shop got a call from the police station. The police told him there was a burglar on the loose. He dressed up as the Joker and was robbing local shops. But since it was Halloween, a lot of people were walking dressed up as the Joker. At that moment, 4 Jokers entered the shop. The manager got suspicious, so he made the people stand in a line while he examined which one of them was the criminal. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which Joker is the real thief? The thief is the second Joker on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it.
Anna and Barbara are cleaners at a fancy hotel. The hotel manager received a call saying that one of them had stolen precious jewelry from one of the clients. Now, look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It was Anna. If you look closely, there's a shiny diamond inside that cleaning bucket. Uh-oh. Inside a high-security prison, 3 men were eager to escape. The first one was trying to break the cell bars. The second one was working out every day to get strong. The last one was quietly reading a book. One of these prisoners came from the future. Can you tell who? It's the one reading the book. He knows none of the other prisoners are going to make it. By reading books, he might get an answer on how to escape. And even if that doesn't happen, at least reading will help him stay on track until he gets out of there. Ben and Paula were watching a Riddle channel at home. They got into a heated discussion about who would survive such a dangerous prank. Take a look at the image. Who do you think has the biggest chance at survival? It's the lady with the snakes. I know that sounds dangerous, but the snakes are small and not poisonous. Dan enrolled in a photography class. For his latest assignment, he needed to take a landscape picture and present it to the class. But Dan didn't have time to do the assignment, so he decided to Photoshop an image and show it in class. The teachers and students immediately saw that the picture wasn't real. How could they tell? Well, because the image has 2 suns. That's not natural. At least not on planet Earth. Maybe Tatooine. Otto decided to take a chance on online dating. After a few days, he started talking to Mandy. They got along pretty well and decided to meet in person. They agreed to meet in Mandy's favorite cafe. She told Otto that she would be using a couple of red hair clips and it should be easy for him to find her. But as soon as Otto arrived there, 3 women were using red hair clips. They were in fashion apparently. So take a look at the image. Can you help Otto find Mandy? Let's see. Mandy is the woman at the first table. She's the only one wearing a pair of hair clips. The woman on the left is using 3 clips, and the other is wearing just 1. Betty walked into a cafe and ordered a cappuccino. But the cashier told her it was her lucky day. He would give Betty her cappuccino for free if she managed to answer a riddle correctly. The cashier said there were 2 buckets filled with water all the way to the top. The buckets had equal height, but the temperature of the water inside the first bucket was 25 degrees Celsius, while the second bucket it was 25 degrees Fahrenheit. If a person dropped the coin inside both buckets at the same time, which coin would hit the bottom of the bucket first? Jenny took a few minutes to answer the riddle, but she got it right. Can you guess what she answered? She said it would hit the bottom of the first bucket first. It had to do with the state of the water in each bucket. At 25 degrees Celsius, the water is liquid, while at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns to ice. Amy lives in a cozy townhouse with 3 roommates, Jill, Alice, and Nora. Take a look at these 4 bedrooms. Can you tell which one belongs to Amy? Let's go one by one, eh, Sherlock? In the first room, there's a comb with some green hair stuck to it. Nora's the one with the green hair, so that must be her room. Then, in the room to the right, there's a single red sock under the bed. Take a look at Jill's feet. She's missing that same sock. That must be her room. In the room right under this, there's a yellow jacket hanging on the chair, and Alice is wearing the same colored pants. It looks like the 2 pieces are a suit, right? That leaves the last room, with this huge letter A poster hanging on the wall. That must be Amy's room. Whew, that took some work. Annie was locked inside a room with 4 doors. On each door, there was a symbol of a creature hidden behind it. On the first door, there was a small dragon. On the second, there was a couple of vampires. On the third door, there was a mummy. And on the last door, there was a werewolf. One of the doors would open in 1 minute, but Annie didn't know which one. She had 3 different items she could use to protect herself: an axe, a torch, or an aspen stake. She needed to choose one that would help her fight any of the monsters. Which one should she choose? Her best option would be to choose the torch. The torch's fire can scare off any of the creatures and protect Annie. Olivia was running a marathon. Right before the finish line, she did her best and outran the person who was running in second place. The woman was happy and excited that she was going to win, but in a few seconds, she was very disappointed. Why? Because Olivia finished in second place when she wanted to finish first. This is what happened. She was fast enough to outrun the person who was going to win second place, but she wasn't fast enough to outrun the person who finished first. But hey, it's a good result anyway. Cheryl ran into her house extremely worried. She told the police officer she took off as soon as she heard the news. She was at her parents' house in another town and wanted to know what had happened to her husband while she was away. The officer said that someone had hurt Mr. Brown and that he ended up in the hospital. He said Mr. Brown was going to be okay, but he still needed to find out who had done this to him. The police officer had questioned 3 suspects so far. Mr. Brown's secretary said that she was sent to visit Mr. Brown's business partner in the morning because important documents needed to be signed. The house cook said he hadn't left the kitchen the entire day, since Mr. Brown had asked him to prepare a meal for him and his wife. And the housekeeper said that she hadn't heard anything. She spent the day doing chores. The officer realized who the culprit was in no time. Can you figure out who did it too? It was the cook. Mr. Brown probably didn't ask him to cook anything for his wife since she was out of town all along. These are Julia and Maria. They are both very attractive young women who have no trouble finding boyfriends. Today is Valentine's Day, and they're both going out with their loved ones. One of them is currently dating 3 people, though, so she's probably going to run from date to date. Just by looking at this image, can you tell which one it is? It's Maria, the one on the left. If you look at her workstation, she's got 3 presents lined up, one for each person she's currently seeing, who, I'm just guessing here, probably don't know about the others. Police officer Dave received a call late one night. A famous chemist went missing from his lab. After searching the lab thoroughly, Dave found a note with random numbers scribbled on it. The note read 26 3 58, 28 27 57 6. It took Dave a while to figure out the hidden message. The clue was on the periodic table. Can you figure it out? The chemist was smart. Each number on the note corresponds to an element in the periodic table. So the element that corresponds to the number 26 is Fe, or iron. The number 3 is Li, lithium. And 58 is Ce, cerium. Using this logic, the first line is spelled Felice. By the same logic, the second line is spelled out Nicholas. After discovering the names, Dave tracked the two men down and arrested them.